I'm Mr. Gigabytes, and we're going to talk about what it's like to live with the Jelly 2. We're not going to talk about the camera again, are we? Yes, we're going to talk about the camera again. I've been living with this for a few days now, just kind of as a backup phone. I've been watching YouTube on it and doing my regular normal things. I put Facebook Lite on it. It seems to work better with that application than it does the full Facebook, but it's definitely capable of doing the full Facebook. Of all the complaints that I'm about to put forward today, size is not going to be one of them. It's a very usable size. It is a perfectly functional, perfectly well-performing Android 10 phone. The first thing to get out of the way is, of course, the thing I complained about the most with both the Titan and this phone, and that is the camera. And I know, if you want to skip this part, I completely understand. But this phone is a $200 phone. If you're to buy it retail, it'll be $200. It'll be available on the Unihertz site. The issue I have is that this has got a 16 megapixel rear-facing camera, 8 megapixel front-facing camera, 8 megapixels in a widescreen configuration is 4K. Now, before I get too deep in this, I'm going to preface this by saying that the target market for this phone may not need the kind of video camera that I'm about to talk about. However, if you've got the capability, you might as well use it and utilize it to its full potential. This has got an octa-core processor in it. An octa-core processor means that there's 8 CPUs in this thing. That's probably more CPUs than your laptop, than some people's laptop. Yet, for some reason, they feel that this phone, or this phone, which is a professional phone, they think they should have the same capability as this phone. You like it? It's got Wonder Woman on it. This is my daughter's phone, and it's an LG Rebel 4. It's got the little button on the back. It's got an 8 megapixel rear-facing camera, 5 megapixel front-facing camera. If I'm wrong on that, I'll fact-check it in editing and put it down on the bottom. This is a $29 phone. It has the same capabilities in the rear-facing and in the front-facing camera as this $200 phone, or this, however much, this professional phone. This is why it infuriates me so much that I spend more on this phone, but get a camera, and sure, I get Android 10 and I get a little bit of extra storage and a little faster processor, but I have the same video capability as this out-of-date LG Rebel 4 that costs $29 brand new. That's what I'm talking about. There is only one reason I can think of that Unihertz would not do a software update to fix the camera in this phone and to put 4K capabilities into this phone. One reason. It's not a 16 megapixel camera. In which case, that's bad. That's really bad. If this one isn't 16 megapixel, if this one isn't 16 megapixel, and it really can't do more than 1080p on the video camera, it means you're not actually paying for a 16 megapixel still camera either. you're paying for something that's less. Are they using pixel doubling or pixel quadrupling? I don't know. It's something that we can analyze and check for and seeing if that's the case. I don't think it is. I think they genuinely did put a 16 megapixel still camera into both of these phones. They just put some generic camera program in there written for a less capable camera. And if that's the case, Unihertz should fix it tomorrow. So, Unihertz, I'm calling you out. Fix these phones. Fix the video camera on these phones. Make them as capable as you possibly can. I'm just going to leave it there for now. We won't talk about the camera anymore. But, $29 phone. $50 if you count the case. Same camera capabilities. So, I'm just saying. I have another gripe with this phone. I did something that I really haven't done on any other phone, and I probably should have, because something just didn't seem right about the way the battery was draining on here. This has got a 2,000 milliamp hour battery. This $29 phone has got a 2,500 milliamp hour battery. Now it's a bigger phone. You can put a bigger battery in it. Not going to argue with that. But here's the thing. I ran a drain test on both of these phones. So what you do, and this is how you do it. It's a really simple thing to do. You can do it at home if you've got a couple of phones. Take two different phones, charge them to 100%. Also, make sure that they're both set to the same battery drain rate. So if you want to test them with the battery saver on, you need to turn the battery saver on. And in this case, that's exactly what I had to do. Both of these phones, this phone had the battery saver turned on, and so I set this phone to have the same battery saver setting done. Unplugged them from the charger and walked away. This phone, after 24 hours, was at 85%. Just sitting there on the bench behind me, 85%. This one was at 41%, doing the same thing with the same settings. They're both active phones, so they both can make phone calls. They're both on the Wi-Fi, etc., etc. 41% after 24 hours with the battery saver turned on. 87%. Now, what's up with that? This is a 2,500 milliamp hour battery that has been used for the last year. This is a brand new phone with a 2,000 milliamp hour battery and a screen that is, about a third the size of this one. Now, granted, neither one of the screens were turned on. Are you kidding me? This LG Rebel 4 so far is 2 for 2, and it's a cheap it's a $29 phone. I mean, come on. And it's a year old, and it's discontinued. They don't make them anymore. I mean, you can still get them from like TrackPhone and stuff, but yeah, they're discontinued. They don't make them anymore. Maybe the Rebel 5 will come out and it'll be a crappier phone. I don't know, but the bottom line is, better phone so far. One strange thing with YouTube was that it ran YouTube at like 140. I think because it sensed the size of the screen, and just automatically set it to like the lowest resolution you can possibly stream YouTube videos with. So I was, for example, last Friday I was watching Morgan Just Games on this, and it was just so grainy. You couldn't read the screen. You couldn't read his chat window. Nothing. So I went into the settings and checked the settings, and it was 140 by I don't remember what, but it was a really low resolution. The lowest I've ever watched videos on is 360p, which is really low resolution, but yeah, nowhere near as bad as 140 by something or another. So I changed it to 360p. That was about the only option, And yeah, it was clear. It was nice. It was I didn't no complaints after once I had made YouTube fall back in line. The fingerprint. Okay, so in the last video I left it where the fingerprint wasn't working. It may be 20% of the time. Out of every 5 tries, it might work once. I redid the fingerprint. That's, of course, the first thing you're going to do. And I did it a little differently this time. And this time I also did it because I set up the fingerprint without the jelly case on. As you can see, you know, it's working a lot better this time now that I set it with the jelly case on, and I did a little more, you know, a little more moving around with my fingerprint. Normally, especially on the BlackBerry that I'm filming with, and this phone here, because it's got the, I mean, that's where your thumbprint scanner would be. This thumbprint's not set up, that's why it didn't activate. But I usually use my thumbprint. I don't use a fingerprint. So this was the first phone I've had that actually uses a fingerprint. So, but having the case on and moving it around, I'm getting a failure about 1 in every 5 times. So it's still a 20% failure rate, whereas the one on here was maybe a 1% failure rate, and my BlackBerry is darn near perfect. So it's almost never that I get a false thumbprint. Now I'm going to have to put the asterisk here because I don't know if this is a better, more accurate thumbprint or fingerprint reader, or if it's a worse fingerprint reader than either the Titan or the BlackBerry. Because obviously the lower the resolution you have, the simpler the thumbprint image is going to be, the easier it is to get a correct reading. If it's a higher resolution, that means it's a better, more secure fingerprint reader than the Titan or the BlackBerry. It would behave exactly the same way if it were a junk thumbprint reader. You know, you kind of get the same result either way. You may get the same result either way. Personally, I'm leaning toward it being a better, higher resolution fingerprint scanner. It does a better job, and so that it scrutinizes your fingerprint a little more. And I say that because I was able to get it to improve by changing a few of the variables in under which this reads the fingerprint. Kind of an improvement, kind of something that we kind of found out by living with the phone for a little bit. One other complaint: don't get this without the gel case. And it's you should do it anyway because it protects the phone. And the phone has got this chrome kind of back, and it doesn't show up real well in that video. But I don't really want to take this case off. But it's super shiny, right? It is just a fingerprint magnet. I'm going to just show you how, you know, that looks like a clear case, right? It is for the most part, but it is actually imprinted with a bunch of little black dots. Or is it white dots? It's white dots, sorry. Tiny, tiny white dots. I can almost not see them. In fact, I wasn't even sure of the color of them until just a moment ago. When you put the case on, it actually dulls the shine. I mean, you can still see it's a shiny case, especially with this lens. It actually dulls down the case a little bit, which is kind of nifty. You can still see your reflection, but yeah, it's not a complaint. I mean, the shininess of the back is a big problem, but it's easily solved with a case. There's this red button that you probably noticed in the video, right? That is a feature button, and it's programmable. And what I've got for it to do now is to turn the flashlight on. You just press and hold the button, and it does it. And it didn't even turn the screen on. So I can have a flashlight. The same button is on the same type of button is on the Titan as well, and it's actually right there. So let me close this video out by saying, hey, Unihertz is not making a bad phone here. The concept is sound. The target market for this, preteens and young children, it seems to be solidly put together. This is not a junk product. This is just some quirks that you should iron out, like the thing that shall not be named anymore because I've talked about it too much. But yeah, this is not a bad phone, despite this video and my many complaints. So if I were to choose one for myself, my first choice so far has been the BlackBerry Key One. That remains my daily driver. Close second would be the Titan, but I could live with something like this. But if it came down to spending $200 on this or $29 on this, yeah, I'm gonna go for this. Sorry, Unihertz. It's a novelty every time I take these tiny little phones out and show them to people and explain that they're working phones. It's a brand new phone, and it's definitely a conversation starter. I'm going to tell you one thing before we close the video out. I'm going to tell you one thing that I really like about this phone, and I mentioned it in the other video, but I've got to play around with it some more, and that's the universal remote control app on here. It is so easy to program. I programmed we have two Samsung TVs in our house. I programmed the Samsung TV into the phone, and of course the remote's the same on both TVs. So now I can just, if I'm charging this in my bedroom at night, I can use this as the remote instead of using the Samsung remote. And then of course you load your Vivitar security, your home automation programs and whatnot onto here, and you can control your whole house. And that alone was worth $200. That's a fun thing. It's not necessary by any means, but is absolutely the most fun when your kids are watching TV and all of a sudden the TV turns off and they think the TV's broken. But anyway, I appreciate everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time. Aren't you a handsome person? Anyway.